Welcome to This Week in the NFL. I'm Kendall Capps.
And I'm Andrew Williams.
Well, Andrew, here we are. It's the divisional round of the playoffs, and we're moving closer, one step closer to the Super Bowl.
I am excited. We had a great, at least one great game.
One great game, three games that weren't very interesting.
And I think some intriguing matchups coming up this week and the next, for sure.
Absolutely. Let's kick it off with the Colts hosting Baltimore. Baltimore coming off that really big win last week. They came out like gangbusters, like 24-0, 10 minutes into the game. What do you see happening there?
I think the Colts are coming into this game with a little bit of a chip on their shoulder. Everyone's questioning them, saying, can they win with a bye week? Can they win after they've rested their players? Was this the right decision? And then I look at the Baltimore team, and I think Baltimore got about the worst effort out of New England that they're going to get. New England, I don't know if it was the loss of Wes Welker, but New England didn't look like they came out to play. I see this going down differently. The Colts always handle Baltimore, sometimes close, sometimes not so close. I look at this, I see the Colts coming out quickly and often. I don't think Baltimore has the offense to keep up.
I disagree. Even though I do think the Colts will eventually win this game, I don't think they're going to jump out like gangbusters, jump out quickly. I think you bench players for a few weeks, and we've seen this in the past. They've done this, and they've struggled a little bit early in games. Now, they will get their rhythm back. They always do. But this Baltimore defense, since week 7 or so, has really turned it on, held almost everyone to 10 points, 15 points. I mean, they played extremely well. Last week, they played really well. And they're going to run the ball in this game. They know that they can run the ball, and they know they're playing another team that's susceptible to the run. So I expect them to come out, try to run the ball right down Indy's throat the way they did New England's. Question is, will they do it as successfully? Probably not. I think Indy will take a few notes from that game, the game tape from last week.
I think they have to know Ray Rice is coming.
Absolutely.
After watching him come out.
And the ultimate question for Baltimore will be, how bad is Flacco really injured, and can he play well enough to keep them in the game? They're going to need him to throw 20, 25, maybe 30 times in this game, and he's going to have a good game for them to pull this up.
So you don't see him going 4 for 10 again?
No, he's definitely not going to go 4 for 10. I see something along the lines of 14 of 29.
Now, where do you see this game ending up? I know you say you seem to think it'll be closer than me.
I do. I think Baltimore's defense is playing well enough. They played them earlier this year, trailed 17-15 in field goal range with a minute left, threw a pick, an unnecessary pass. He should have just taken a sack. And that's part of being a young quarterback. But I do think their defense will keep them in the game. But ultimately, Indy's going to move on to the AFC title game.
I agree with Indy, but I'm going to take the Colts in a larger margin.
You think they go and run all over?
I think the Colts come out quickly. I mean, that leads us to another game, San Diego versus the Jets.
Yeah, I think you think this one might be another runaway.
I also think San Diego is a team. I don't think the Jets really belong here, or at least I should take that back. The Jets have played every game they need to play lately, and they've won. Congratulations to them. But when you look at the other teams in the playoffs, I think the Jets stick out. I think San Diego comes out quickly, puts some points on them. I see Mark Sanchez coming back to earth when he has to throw. You see some interceptions, and I see San Diego taking it going away.
I do agree that the Jets are the one team that stands out among these teams that may not necessarily belong. However, they know that that's how the country feels, and that motivates the team. They went out, they put it on Cincinnati last week on the road. Don't forget, San Diego, they might have won 11 straight, but once in their history, very recently, they had a first-round bye, divisional round of the playoffs, they played at home. What happened? They lost to New England. Now, I'm not saying this Jets team is that New England team, but the Jets historically have given San Diego problems. A few times earlier in this decade, Nate Koenig, a couple missed field goals. I'm sure you guys remember that. They've been a thorn in their side to some degree during the course of the past 10 years. Their defense has been really stout. I expect them to be able to hang around, but ultimately, San Diego has too much. They've scored at least 20 in 22 straight games, and that's going to continue here. With that rookie quarterback, the Jets aren't going to be able to keep up with him.
Well, and the Jets, their highest scoring output this year has been 38 points against the Raiders. And really, other than that, have not scored more than, say, 24, 25, 26.
Yes. And they probably average maybe 19.
I don't know
points.
that 38 points keeps them in this game. I don't see them putting it up. But I look for, even if Darrelle Revis holds down Benson Jackson, I think the Chargers have too much here.
I think that they have too much. I do think they'll win, maybe going away, something 27-17, but I don't see some big 41-8 blowout, some weird score. I just don't see that happening.
Well, that takes us over to the NFC, which I think we both feel is a little more interesting.
These are the sexy games of the weekend when you look at it.
You look at Dallas, Minnesota, two physical, run-the-ball teams. Yes. Like you say, mirror images. Yes. Defense, run the ball, efficient quarterbacking. But you also look Dallas coming in on the high. They beat the Saints, they beat the Eagles twice. The Vikings, some turmoil at the end of the year. Their offense. I know you're going to
Problems with
touch
Childress
on
and
it.
his play calling.
But which team do you see coming out of this game and solidifying themselves? Because I feel like the winner of this may even be the favorite in the NFC Championship.
It's very well
depending on how
possible.
things play
Especially
out.
if Dallas, if they win this, let's say Arizona wins, they're going to play at home. Having won 5 straight, Dallas would certainly be a favorite at that point. In this game, I picked Minnesota to go to the Super Bowl. I have to back my pick, but I would be surprised, not whatsoever, considering how well Dallas is playing right now. On all cylinders, they're running the ball, they're stopping the run. Romo's playing maybe better than he has in his entire career, and he got the monkey off his back. He won a playoff game last week, so there's not nearly as much pressure on him as there is as the home favorites, the Minnesota Vikings. It's going to be very difficult. Jared Allen, the last couple weeks, he hasn't had a lot of sacks. He hasn't had a lot of pressure. He's actually struggled the last couple weeks. But the first round bye, they were able to get some rest. Certainly get geared up. They know they're going against a physical team. They're going to have to play physical. I actually think Chester Taylor might be the difference in this game. I think he's going to come out of the backfield, catch 5-6 balls, have a couple nice runs. I think he's going to be a key back in this game. I think Adrian Peterson might get shut down to some degree, and Chester Taylor ends up being somewhat of a hero.
I think that's a very interesting point because Adrian Peterson has not been having his 100-yard games every
Only
game.
surpassed 100 yards 3 times this year.
So he's been held in check, and I'm waiting to see really which team comes out stronger. Because like we said, these teams are mirror images, and really I think whoever has the better game is going to win.
Yes, more than likely.
I'm going to take the Cowboys. It may be a very close game, but I could also see the Vikings, the way they've played towards the end of the year versus the way these Cowboys have played. The Vikings may come out and lay an egg and go softly into the night.
It's
I'm
very
hoping
possible.
for a close game, but I'm still taking the Cowboys either way.
Yeah, I mean, it will definitely be a close game. Both teams are so close in styles the way they play. But I have to stick with my initial pick, Minnesota going to Super Bowl, so I got Minnesota. And that's going to take us to another mirror image of different type teams. We go to New Orleans, where the Cardinals, coming off an amazing game against Green Bay, the defense actually made a play, who would have thought, despite that face mask that they didn't call. They made one play, and the one play won the game. And now they go on the road to the Saints, who lost 3 straight, haven't won a game since early December. I mean, are they going to be the same Saints?
You look at these teams, and their offenses are so similar. They rely on a very smart quarterback, a barrage of talented receivers, and then they work the run game. And I tend to think the Saints team has the better offense, the higher profile, maybe more options. But this Arizona team this year, I picked them to go to the Super Bowl since I think week 15. They show up for prime time games. They showed up every game in the playoffs last year, a Heinz Ward shoe size away from the Super Bowl champs. And every time this year that they've played and needed to win, I feel like they've come out and shown that they can handle prime time pressure. The Saints, I think this is their first time experiencing being the favorites. I mean, really, this year's the first. It's a transition. They're no longer the who dat Saints as much as they're the number 1 seeds waiting at home. Can they muster that kind of energy against a team that's good winning on the road?
Yeah. Arizona 6-2 on the road. They were on the road most of the playoffs last year. They certainly know how to play on the road. Playing in the Superdome is a whole other beast. That place is going to be rocking. And they were able to get some rest, regroup, which they needed to do. Question is, can they turn on that switch? And it's never easy to do. I think they will struggle early on offensively, but once they get going, they're practically impossible to stop. And I think in this game, you're going to see that come to fruition. They might start a little slow, but once they get that well-oiled machine running, and don't forget, they went away from the run down the stretch. In most of the year, they were one of the best rushing teams setting up the pass. That's why Breeze was able to have such an amazing year. He had 3 backs that are now healthy, that he could filter in, that can run and catch passes out of the backfield. If they can establish that running game as well as the passing game, they're going to be really difficult to stop.
Yeah, I agree. I think you're leaning towards the Saints in a barn burner here.
I do.
I'm leaning the other way. I'm sticking with my pick. I think the Cardinals in a barn burner. But either way, I think this has the makings of one of the most exciting games. And like you said, if the Saints get back to their running game and what they were doing to start this season, look out, everybody else.
Look out, everyone else. Because when they are going on all cylinders, no one can stop.
And you don't want to go into that dome playing when they're hitting.
Yes, absolutely. New England found out the hard way. All right, well, that's going to do it for this week in the NFL. For all things sports, you can log on to AmericanSportsDaily.blogspot.com, and we will see you here for next week for the title games.
Enjoy your weekend.
All right.